One of the worst things you can find inside of a fruit that you're eating is a worm, or even worse would be a half of a worm. And this is all too common of an occurrence in peaches, apricots, nectarines, apples, and pears if you are trying to grow them at home. And it's caused by an insect called the Plum Curculio bug. And even though they are called the Plum Curculio, they get on all kinds of different fruit-bearing trees that a lot of people like to grow at home. Now, the symptoms that you will see if you have this problem are going to be that your fruits are, one, either dropping off prematurely before they can ripen. Secondly, you will see that the fruit is starting to rot right about the time that you think it should be ripening. Or sometimes you will see this gel-like clear substance coming out of the fruit and you're wondering what that is. This is all from the Plum Curculio bug, which is actually a type of weevil that is native to the eastern US but has now spread into other parts of the country. And it has an interesting life cycle. So the adult females will actually use that long proboscis to cut a V-like shape into the side of a young fruit, and then they'll deposit an egg inside of there. The larvae, or the worms, they're not actually worms, will then start eating the fruit from the inside out. Oftentimes they will actually cut off the top of the seed, which is connecting the fruit to the plant, which will cause the whole fruit to drop off to the ground. But many times you will see the fruit still attached to the tree. Now, as the larvae matures and goes to the pupa phase, which is where it actually transforms from the worm-like larvae into the adult weevil, the pupa stage happens underground. So that is why oftentimes they will drop those fruits to the ground, or the larvae will emerge from the fruit and drop to the ground, where it will tunnel underground and form a pupae and eventually become an adult that would then hatch out and start the whole process over again. Okay, that was a lot of information. So how do you protect your trees from these bad pests that are getting to the fruit before you can enjoy it? Let's first talk about some chemical-free or organic methods in case you want to do the organic approach. What some people will do is called a thrashing method, and that's where you can put down a drop cloth underneath your tree, and then you actually go over to the branches and you shake them vigorously and allow those adults that might be in there laying eggs on the tree to drop down to the drop cloth below, and then you would physically pick them up and remove them. And you would need to start this process early and often. So you want to start right after the flower petals fall off and those young fruit are just beginning to develop. Another organic method would be to use kaolin clay as a spray, and there is a product that is labeled for fruit trees that's called Surround. But essentially, it's a really fine clay that you mix in water and then you coat the entire tree in it, the leaves, the fruit, the bark, everything. And you'll have to do multiple applications to get a uniform coverage over the tree, and you'll have to repeat these applications, especially after a rain, which tends to wash it off. But what this does is it protects the tree, the leaves, and the fruit from things like sun scald, and it also confuses the insects and keeps them from laying the eggs in the fruit. But it is perfectly safe for you to consume those fruit with that clay on there. And of course, you can wash it off once you harvest the fruit. Now, the most common method to control them is with insecticide applications, and that's what most of your commercial orchards are doing. And there are different insecticides that are labeled for use on orchards and on fruit trees, but one of the more common ones would be a mixture of neem oil and pyrethrin. And once again, you'll have to spray early and often because that is not an insecticide that has a long residual. But you would not want to spray that when the plants are blooming, because then you've got a really good chance of actually harming the pollinators that are coming in to pollinate those plants. So wait to spray until the flower petals have dropped off. So yeah, if you have had issues with the Plum Curculio bug in your garden, now you know why and what to do.